G'day viewers, the end of another week, and it's time once more for Totally Fucked Up Friday. And there's all sorts of things happening around the world, seriously spoiled for choice. In fact, I'll probably be doing more ranting videos over the next week, because there were so many things to rant about, but I've got a few today. Hey, but you know what's not totally fucked up? The new series Cosmos, recreation of Carl Sagan's classic series, this time fronted by Neil deGrasse Tyson. And let me just say, I love that there are like rock star scientists in the world. Neil deGrasse Tyson in the US, Professor Brian Cox in the UK, Dr. Karl Kruszelnicki here in Australia, and I'm sure there are many more. But leading towards the fucked up happened at Fox 25 in Oklahoma at the end of the show when they're saying, and we're going to talk about evolution. They played a promo over that, so the audience didn't hear talk about evolution. Now, they say it was a mistake, and I believe them. Just because a Fox affiliate in a conservative area in Oklahoma covered over talk about evolution, who would think they would do that on purpose and then lie afterwards? I mean, you know, apart from their entire track record, previous behavior, I believe them. I'm sure it was an accident. If you haven't seen this yet, the first episode aired in the US this week. It airs in Australia on Sunday, and I'm sure you can find it online. Totally worth watching. Probably worth buying the DVD when that comes out. It's going to be that good, explaining all difficult concepts of science in awesome ways. Definitely go in for that. Another fucked up person. This one is in the UK. In Oxford University, their conservative societies where the Tories of tomorrow play politics while they're at university. One particular tool by the name of Jeff Vinyl, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name, got outed for mouthing off and calling Nelson Mandela a terrorist just after he died. When everyone's going, we're sad Mandela died, on his Facebook he went, ooh, another terrorist has died. Let's hope we never see anyone like this again. Yes, let's hope we never see anyone who overcomes decades of institutionalized racial violence and actually fixes things, goes for reconciliation rather than punishment. To be fair, in case you didn't know, Mandela was involved in bombing campaigns against the apartheid regime. You see, one person's freedom fighter is another person's terrorist. It tends to depend where you are in the power structure, what you see there. But pretty much everyone had got the stage, well, when Mandela got out of jail, the way he didn't go after revenge, the way he did rebuild South Africa. It's not like it's perfect. It's not like he's a saint. It's not like he's unique and wonderful and all these things, but did amazing work. And for this snivelling, self-serving wanker to go, terrorist, you know, the stuff that things like current British Prime Minister said when he was a uni student back in the 80s, that was the Tory line back in the 80s. People like Thatcher and the US Republicans were very anti-recognising the ANC and supporting Nelson Mandela. That was not what they wanted. But, you know, everyone's moved past that, apart from this wanker. And, you know, if that's all he'd done, I'd just say, oh, you're an edgy wanker. You're trying to court controversy because you're a sad little pathetic fucking loser with no life. And I wouldn't have even mentioned it. But when a website pointed out that this guy, because he was running for office in this conservative union, he was running for office, and they said, you know what this guy did? He actually filed a DMCA takedown notice saying that's breach of copyright. Now, first, that isn't true. Stating what someone did is not a breach of copyright. So the guy's a stinking liar. But on top of everything else, not even owning what you did, going for a dishonest and, by the letter of the law, illegal way to try and shut it down. What a fucking piece of shit. So yes, he's an objectionable wanker, but then he's a coward and a liar and uses bully tactics to try and get his way. He's apparently never heard of the Streisand effect, because A, you can't successfully DMCA this, B, you're just drawing attention to the fact what a fucked up wanker you actually are. Jeff Vinyl, what a sad fucking prick. And also, hey, in the UK, another fucked up story. you're hearing all these different things about the government, surveillance, controlling information. YouTube has actually granted the UK security services really sweeping, what they're calling super flagging powers for YouTube videos, being able to take down videos that they just don't like. Now, YouTube already has policies that, among other things, will get a video taken down if there are direct incitements to violence or depictions of violence in the video. And personally, I think that's the right thing to do. This has gone so much further, and it's aimed at jihadis, people saying, oh, overthrew the West, wankers like that. But the idea that you say, oh, I actually just don't like what that person's saying. They haven't made threats, but I don't think they should be allowed to say that. That is creepy as all fuck. And anyone who works under the delusion of, but they're only going to do this to bad guys, you apparently have not seen any history ever. Oh, and speaking of abuses of law that only be used on bad guys, here in Victoria, where I live, there's a push to put in a law. It's passed the lower house in the state parliament. It's going up to the Senate. If the Senate passes it, where the government has a majority, so it will pass, it'll go into law in about September this year. And it's been called a move on law. It's giving police the power to make sure people can't protest, essentially. Police, just on their say-so, can go, you're not allowed to be here. And if you don't go away, they can arrest you. And then if you come back, they can arrest you just for coming back. And they can ultimately jail you under this law. Now, one of the many interesting things about that, the police can already move people on. And this is probably true of every police force everywhere in the world, whether you know it or not. If a cop says, bugger off, I don't like you, and you go, I have a right, if they want to fuck you over, you're fucked at that point. Like I've said this before, I don't think there's anyone who's ever been involved in any sort of protest where the police involved who hasn't heard the stop resisting, or cops breaking into people's home and the person turns out not to have broken any laws, but, I don't know, their dog got shot, they got beaten up and their house got burnt down, and the cops say he was resisting. And it's like, what was he resisting? Why were you there? And this law means cops can literally say, you're not allowed to be here. You don't have to be doing anything. Like the government saying, oh, we're sick of these protests shutting down law-abiding businesses, because they've had egg on their face a few times in the last couple of years with the Occupy protests, then with some trade union protests, and most recently with a really shitty plan to build a major road being called the East-West Link. They should be using the money to build better rail and public transport. Roads are fucking stupid because they just fill up. You go, oh look, I've got less congestion for 5 minutes. Oh, now a whole bunch of extra cars are here and we spent a couple $1 billion for no good reason. Wow, that was fucking awesome. That was right there. Ugh. But people have been making some successful inroads in the protests on this development, and so they're just introducing laws. No, you can't. And they go, oh, it's to stop unlawful behaviour. It's not. It's to let the cops do whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want. And if you think this sort of law doesn't get abused, you apparently know nothing about Joh Bjelke-Petersen's Queensland in the 70s and 80s. Identical laws, they could arrest you for being in a group of more than 3 people. Basically, and even the Attorney General who's pushing this law has admitted the law could definitely infringe on what everyone accepts as their right to free speech, peaceful assembly, free association. It's just like, yeah, but we don't fucking care. It's like, oh, but we think we'll still cover this. The real reason is we don't fucking care. The shorter version of this whole thing is you are not allowed to disagree with us. If you are a dissenter, you will be punished.